Imagine you're standing in your backyard, gazing up at the sky on a warm summer evening. The sun is setting, painting the sky with rich orange and purple hues. You've probably noticed by now that the sun sets at different points on the horizon as the seasons change, right? Sometimes it's further north, sometimes further south. But what's really going on up there? Well, it all comes down to two astronomical events that keep our planet's seasons in check: solstices and equinoxes. First, let's get one thing straight: the Earth is tilted. Not like, whoa, that's wonky, but more like a casual 23.5-degree tilt on its axis. And this tilt is the unsung hero behind the change of seasons. Without it, we'd be living in a pretty boring world, weather-wise. The equinoxes and solstices are milestones in this journey through the year, like checkpoints reminding us that time keeps moving, and the sky is always changing. So, what's the difference between these two sky-high events? Why do we hear about them so often when it comes to seasons? Let's break it down. Solstices. The extremes of light and darkness. Alright, solstices. Let's start here because, honestly, they sound the coolest, right? Solstice. Just saying it feels a bit magical. And in a way, it is. There are two solstices each year: the summer solstice and the winter solstice. These are the moments when the Earth's axis is tilted the most toward or away from the sun. If you think of the Earth as a giant spinning top, these solstices are the points where that top is leaning at its most extreme angle. The summer solstice, the longest day. Imagine it's June 21st, or thereabouts, give or take a day. You wake up, it's bright outside, and it seems like the sun just doesn't want to go down. That's because you're experiencing the summer solstice, the longest day of the year. In the northern hemisphere, the summer solstice occurs when the North Pole is tilted closest to the sun. It's the day when the sun is at its highest point in the sky at noon, casting its light over the most significant portion of the Earth's northern regions. The days surrounding the summer solstice are when you get those seemingly endless stretches of daylight. In some parts of the world, like Alaska or Norway, the sun doesn't set at all, hence the phenomenon of the midnight sun. So, in a nutshell, the summer solstice is all about light. The sun is king, ruling the sky for as long as possible. But here's the kicker: after this day, the days start to shorten. Yep, it's kind of ironic. Right when you're basking in the sun and getting used to those long summer evenings, the daylight hours begin to slip away. Slowly at first, but it's happening. The Earth is already starting to tilt back the other way, setting the stage for the opposite solstice. The winter solstice, the longest night. Fast forward 6 months, and we arrive at the winter solstice, around December 21st. This time, the North Pole is tilted as far away from the sun as it can get. The result? The shortest day of the year, where daylight feels like a rare commodity. The winter solstice is all about darkness. In the far northern regions, like parts of Canada or Sweden, the sun barely makes an appearance. In fact, in some places, it doesn't rise at all, leading to what's called the polar night. It's the kind of day where you want to curl up with a blanket, drink hot cocoa, and hibernate like a bear until spring comes. But just like the summer solstice signals a gradual loss of light, the winter solstice signals a return of it. From this day onward, the days begin to lengthen. The sun starts its slow climb back up in the sky, promising warmer days ahead. It's no wonder so many ancient cultures held winter solstice celebrations, marking the rebirth of the sun as a reason to celebrate. Equinoxes. The balance of light and dark. Now, let's talk about equinoxes. The word equinox comes from the Latin words equus, equal, and asterisk nox, night, which literally translates to equal night. And that's exactly what happens on these days. The day and night are nearly equal in length. Pretty neat, huh? While solstices are about extremes, either the longest day or the longest night, equinoxes are all about balance. There are two equinoxes each year: the spring, vernal, equinox and the autumn, fall, equinox. The spring equinox, a fresh start. The spring equinox typically occurs around March 20th, marking the first official day of spring in the northern hemisphere. It's a moment of balance, where the Earth's axis is not tilted toward or away from the sun. Imagine standing on the equator at noon on the spring equinox. The sun would be directly overhead. The days are growing longer, the temperature is warming up, and everything is coming to life. Cultures around the world have long celebrated this time of renewal. From the ancient Egyptians to the Mayans, people have recognized the equinox as a time of growth and new beginnings. It's the perfect symbol of the natural world waking up after winter's slumber. Spring equinox is also closely linked to many festivals and holidays. Think Easter, which is celebrated around this time, or Nowruz, the Persian New Year. These celebrations often symbolize rebirth, renewal, and growth, mirroring what's happening in nature. The autumn equinox, a time to harvest. The autumn equinox, occurring around September 22nd, is like the spring equinox's more mellow sibling. Instead of marking the beginning of new life, it signals the winding down of the year. The days are getting shorter, the nights longer, and there's a chill in the air that wasn't there before. Like the spring equinox, the autumn equinox is a moment of balance, equal parts light and dark. But it has a different vibe. There's a sense of preparation, of gathering what you've grown over the summer and getting ready for the colder months. Many cultures celebrate the autumn equinox with harvest festivals. It's a time of abundance, where people take stock of the fruits of their labor and prepare for the winter ahead. Why do we care about solstices and equinoxes? You might be wondering, why do these astronomical events matter so much? After all, they're just points in the Earth's orbit, right? Well, yes and no. While solstices and equinoxes are tied to our planet's position around the sun, they're also deeply intertwined with human culture and survival. For ancient peoples, understanding the solstices and equinoxes was crucial. These events dictated planting and harvesting times, the best moments to gather food, and when to prepare for winter. In some ways, their lives revolved around these moments in the sky. Even today, solstices and equinoxes play a significant role. They signal the changing seasons, and whether you're a farmer or a city dweller, the shifts in light and temperature impact everything from how you dress to your mood. It's hard to ignore the way we feel on the winter solstice, when the sun barely makes an appearance, compared to the summer solstice, when we soak up every last ray of sunlight. So, what's the big difference? In essence, the difference between solstices and equinoxes comes down to extremes versus balance. Solstices are the points in the year when the Earth's axis tilts the most toward or away from the sun. They mark the longest day, summer solstice, and the longest night, winter solstice. Equinoxes, on the other hand, are moments of balance. They occur when the Earth's axis isn't tilted toward or away from the sun, resulting in nearly equal amounts of day and night. These mark the start of spring, spring equinox, and fall, autumn equinox. Both solstices and equinoxes are essential to understanding the rhythm of the seasons. They serve as celestial reminders that the Earth is constantly moving, that time is always passing, and that the balance between light and darkness is never static. The next time you hear about a solstice or equinox, take a moment to look up. These celestial events are more than just fancy astronomy. They're the ancient clockwork that keeps life on Earth in tune with the changing seasons. So whether you're basking in the sun on the summer solstice, bracing yourself against the chill on the winter solstice, or marveling at the balance of day and night during the equinoxes, remember, you're part of a much bigger story, one that's been unfolding for millennia.